Hello everyone, I'm down at the Ivy Gardens in Dublin City today and I hope you're keeping well, and thanks very much for all the support on my videos. I'm very grateful to each and every one of you that supports my work. Today I'm just going to talk about a few points around Irish democracy and the lack of democracy in essence. The whole idea of democracy comes from a Greek word which says that the people rule. So in the context of Ireland, we've seen in terms of strive for Irish freedom, Irish independence, that's been vitally important. Even look at the proclamation where they speak about the children of the nation be treated equally. Fundamentally, we've seen since the foundation of the Irish Free State them adopt a quite similar system to what was in place in advance of the Free State, because they replaced the British landlord class with an Irish landlord class. And we've seen that grow significantly, in particular over the last number of years, with the drive towards the European Union and the neoliberal policies, which has caused absolute carnage in Irish society in the context of the privatisation of everything. Privatisation of our healthcare, privatisation of our housing, privatisation of education, and even forcing more and more people into low pay jobs, precarious work as well, while making the already rich richer and funneling money from the public purse up to the top of society. But again, it fundamentally asks the question of Irish democracy and where we stand on Irish democracy. Now, a few questions that people would ask about this is that, well, they don't really have a say and don't really have a voice. And I fully appreciate that and fully agree to a massive extent with it, because sometimes whoever you vote for, they just uphold the same status quo and nothing really changed fundamentally in the day-to-day existence of people's lives. What would really change if people stand up and challenge the real power in society, challenge where power is, challenge the lobbyists, challenge the banks, challenge the 1%, challenge the political establishment. And it's vitally important in terms of having a decent and dignified society, but it's also more important in the basic premise of having a dignified right to exist and live and have a proper life for this and future generations. And many people in our society have struggled for this for many generations. And it's vitally important we don't forget now, more than ever, that ordinary people did struggle and win many of our rights that we have today. But we've seen a huge erosion of our rights, in particular by the Irish state, over the last number of years. We've seen huge restrictions during the lockdown period. We've seen huge restrictions in terms of the vaccine passports and all erroneous restrictions that have proved to be completely so draconian. Really, it's breathtaking. But again, we've seen it happen now recently with the Irish state trying to move through the hate speech law, trying to move facial recognition technology, and trying to move through Digital Services Act, Electoral Reform Act, and all these other various forms of legislation that will further restrict the ordinary rights and put the heel on the neck of ordinary working class people. It's time ordinary working class people stand up for what's right in our society. Stand up and take back what rightfully belongs to us. If people remember Michael Davitt involved in the Land League, and the whole question of land was so important in our Irish society for many, many years, the struggle against the inhumane and barbaric evictions that happened well over 150 years ago, that left an indelible influence on all of us today in Ireland. But yet today, the same carry-on exists, because we see record amount of evictions that we haven't seen since the famine. We see people normalising homelessness, becoming desensitised to seeing people on the streets. And this is all being manufactured through the corporate media. The media who are captured by the political establishment, who are completely bought and sold, and there's no independence in the media. But we'll always remember the struggle of those who fight for independence, fight for a true voice, fight for honesty and objective journalism, a fight for balanced journalism, and a fight for all of our rights as well. Now, while I'm here today, I'll just show you a lovely commemoration here. This is a memorial to human rights defenders, commemorating those who were killed defending human rights, and it celebrates their lives, achievements and courage. So many people here who are commemorated in this lovely memorial have given up their lives for basic rights. Basic human rights. In the Irish Constitution, all people are sovereign. We should be demanding that everybody has a voice in the policy of the state. Everybody has a voice in the policy of their communities. Everybody has a voice in the policy of what affects their daily lives. And it is inherently political to be involved in this. Some people think, I don't want to talk about politics. Politics isn't important. Or it's abstract. It's not abstract. It's reality. It faces us every day we walk down the streets. It faces us when we see inequality. It faces us in the face when we see poverty. It faces us when we see homelessness. It faces us when we see a 90-year-old woman on a hospital trolley. This is what faces us each and every day in Irish society. It faces us in our workplace. It faces us in our homes when people struggle to pay their rents. It faces us every single day. And never forget the struggle of these great people who stood up for our basic rights and gave their lives for our basic rights. Much the same as here in Ireland, where we had so many people who gave their lives for Irish independence and Irish democracy. And now with this erosion of our rights and the propaganda that comes at people constantly through the media, it's vitally important people think for themselves. Think critically, make your own mind up, get all the facts and become objective to see what's really going on in society, to see who's really controlling the purse strings and who the political establishment in Ireland really represents. So they don't care about ordinary people. They care about their own interests, their own self-serving privileged interests. They only care about keeping themselves in power, keeping themselves at the levers of power, won't challenge the status quo, won't challenge the 1%, won't challenge the super wealthy. We need to tackle all these issues head on and face them in our daily lives and daily struggles. And it's vitally important never forget how we got here, never forget how we got our rights. We got our rights through inspirational people who stood up for our rights. Whether family members, whether friends, whether people we've read about or people we know through our history and the real history, which is the people's history, which are recollected through songs, stories, poems, music, literature, and communicating and talking to people. So it's vitally important now, more than ever in 2024, this has to be the message of hope, the message of building a future where we have the needs of our people in Irish society met, the right to a home, the right to a dignified existence, the right to proper healthcare, the right to education, the right to a dignified job, and the right to have a dignified existence. Not an existence which is forced into misery, alienation, poverty, and all the mental health consequences and health issues that come with all that. So again, thanks for tuning in. And today, as I said, we remember the great human rights defenders here in Ireland, the great people who stood up for independence, our sovereignty, our democracy. And never forget, this has to be passed on through the generations. And now, with our generation too, we need to take up the stand for standing up for basic human rights.